So here we go. So find a seated pose that supports you, and also make sure that your hips are a little bit lifted so that you have you're able to create that low back curve. We're really, I just find that as I'm getting older, maybe because of hormones, maybe because of whatever else, you know, my back is doing some funny things, so you really have to be aware. I have to mute you all only because of the video. Hold on now. You can unmute yourself anytime you want for a question. There we go. Yes, all right. All right, here we are. Whoops. Oh boy, here we go. All right. So find that seated pose that supports you. We're really talking about resilience today. I really feel like we're in for the long haul. Index finger and thumb together. Just close your eyes for a moment as I just say a few words about resilience. Just go deep within yourself. Just breathing down into your belly. And see the part of yourself that stays steady. It's like the eye of the hurricane, the eye of the storm. Stays steady. Let everything else around you, just let it blow around without reacting, without going into any sort of a thought. Just let it be. We're just going to breathe into that place of being. And just know the heart of your being, the beating into this space where you can see your own goodness, where you can see your own gifts. You can see how the love that you have within you as it goes out into the world affects the world. And how that love is eternal. Keeping your breath low down into the belly and long for long counts in. A slower exhale out. Let the exhale be a little slower than the inhale. That kind of begins to change the rhythm of our breath and our nervous system. Kind of a trigger to go deeper inward, the deeper, longer exhale. Know that within you, you have the answers to what you need. Any doubt that you may have, there's also the ability to solve that, to let that go within you. And now bring your breath into the belly, then let it rise all the way up to the lungs, and then from there all the way up to the base of the neck. And you want to hold at the very top of the inhale. Just let there be a space, just an open space. And then exhale out from the throat, down into the lungs, and then again into the belly. Begin to rely on your own body's ability to find that center. And even though things around us may be whirling and swirling, or we may be held in a place of such grief, let this centering be part of your journey to wholeness, to your wholeness. It's real. It's what we really have that is truly ours. Everything else can be taken, but not this center. And then with your next exhale, allow your chin to come down to the chest as we breathe into the opening of the neck and the upper part of the back. And just feel how this opening is gradual. In the beginning it may feel a little tight, and then eventually it begins to loosen up. And then release your hands from your thighs and bring them to the floor on either side of your hips. And on the inhale, lift the arms and lift the gaze in your seated sun breath. And you turn the palms and exhale with your fingertips down and chin to the chest. And then the palms roll upward again, arms and gaze all the way up. And return the palms and exhale with your fingertips down and chin to the chest. 2 more times, palms roll all the way up. And return the palms and exhale. And last time, palms roll all the way up. Hands go to prayer over your head, then down to the heart as you close your eyes for a moment and breathe into your own inner landscape. As we ask for, during this practice, to develop our ability for resilience, for being able to stay strong, to stay open and loving. Breathing in. And then releasing your hands and staying seated, letting your left hand go onto the floor, the right arm lifting up and reaching over. Breathing in with a nice deep breath right into the right side body, and then release and come all the way back down, and the left arm reaches up and over. Again, just breathing in and then release, come all the way back one more time, right arm reaches up and over, and then come all the way back, and left arm reaches up and over. And then staying seated, you're just going to take a gentle twist with your left hand crossing over onto the right. It's just gentle. We're very in the very beginning. Just breathing into the twist, bringing the breath still way down into the belly, then release and come all the way back to center, and then right arm onto the left knee, breathing in, and then release, coming all the way back to center and letting your hands walk forward. Just letting it go to where you feel comfortable, where you feel like you can still keep your torso up and hips onto the floor. Then let your head go down towards the floor. Breathe into the lower part of your back. Just say good morning to that part of your body. Breathing in, and then walking your hands, coming all the way back to the seated pose, and then coming off of your blanket and rolling over right onto a standing pose. Coming all the way up, let your feet go mat width apart, hands onto the hips, and just rotate all the way around. Let your knees bend. Do a little rotation. Good, and then in the opposite direction. I'm going to bring my feet in just a little bit. Yeah, get a little bit more movement in my hips. The nice deep breath. Good, one more time in the first direction. Making sure that your feet are solid onto the floor. 4 corners of the feet in, onto the floor, connecting to the earth, and then reverse the direction. Good, then come all the way back to center. Arms are going to reach into a standing Tadasana, the mountain pose. Fingers reaching up with a nice deep breath. Bend the knees or slightly soften the knees, and then exhale forward into a forward fold. Inhale halfway up, Ardha Uttanasana, and then fold back in again, head down towards your knees, and then arms swing out to the side as we inhale all the way back Exhale and fold. Shins forward, thighs way back. That's how we open the lower back. Thighs back, inner groins back. Head down towards the floor. Arms swing out to the side as we inhale all the way up. Exhale and fold. Shins forward, thighs back. Come halfway up. And from here, take the right foot back into the runner stretch. Hands on either side of your left foot. And breathe. Now take the left hip back to the wall behind you. And see if you can actually press so deeply into the right toes that it lifts your torso up slightly. Just a little lift. So you're very light with your fingers onto the floor. Breathing in, you're going to switch. Right foot is forward and left foot is back. No two sides are the same. Right hip goes back to the wall behind you. You want the back leg to be doing a lot of work so you can feel a lift through your torso. Fingers light onto the floor. Breathing in. Then let your left foot come up to the right. Head down towards the floor. Arms swing out to the side as we inhale all the way up. Clasp your hands, palms up toward the ceiling. Exhale over to the left. Inhale all the way up and to the right. Breathing in, exhale left. Good, and right. I'm going to take this a little bit deeper. Exhale left, but this time take your left hand to your right wrist and stretch it a little bit more. At the same time, from your hips down to your foot, your right foot, you're stretching. So from the hips down to the feet, we're to the earth. From the hips up, we're stretching deeply. Inhale, come all the way back up. Switch your hands, right hand onto the left, and you're just stretching a little bit more. Just breathing in. So you want to feel both flexibility and strength. For resilience, you need both. Good. Release, come all the way back. You're going to slowly let your arms go down towards your hips. We're going to stop at a T position and just circle in one direction, circle in the other. Good. Then let them float all the way back down and shake your hands. Good. Let the head of the arm roll up and around. Begin to feel your back body coming alive. Good. And then from the back to the front. Good. And then release and shake everything out so you can really feel like you're starting open, just like a little rag doll here, opening up. Good. Then our feet are going to go hips, more than hips width apart, Prasarita Padottanasana. Good. Let your knees bend a little bit. So you kind of feel like you have a little bit of a bounce here. Then shins go slightly forward, inner groins back. So really pressing the thighs all the way back as you come forward halfway. You want the rib cage to begin to go up towards the spine. You want the top of the thighs to press away. And from the little coccyx bone to the top of the head, you're moving forward. So a nice long spine. Hands onto your hips. Inhale and come all the way back up again. Good. So show you sideways. Exhale forward. If I am doing this with my rib cage moving down towards the earth, I can't feel my lower back, my middle back. I can't feel my middle back. And bring the rib cage up. Shins go slightly forward. Inner groins back. Can you feel that energy? Nice deep breath. So it's a way of listening to your body. It's a lot of hard work. Inhale and come all the way back up. Good. So if you have a block, take a block. Come back to Prasarita, block in the center. Breathing in. It's real easy in this position to go with a kind of a back that is more like a cow pose. So you want to bring the rib cage up, left hand onto the block, right hand onto your hip. When you bring the rib cage in, I want you to begin to breathe into the middle of your back. back. Take the inner groins back. Rotate the torso. Taking a nice deep breath. You can add the right arm up if you're not doing this with your hand way back, up. Integrate the head of the arm bone into the back body, then rotate. Good. Release, come all the way back to center. Right hand onto the block, left hand on your hip, rotate. I have to adjust. The right hip has to go back, so it gives me a little more power to rotate through my torso, then bring my rib cage in and add my back into the twist. And again, add the left arm up. If it is not doing one of these where it's not plugged into socket, you want to plug it into socket and then add it up with a nice deep breath. Good, shins forward, thighs back. Release, come all the way back down. You can stay on the block and bend, or you can go deeper if you want. If you're open enough to go deeper, then do. If not, use the block. Bend into the right knee, and then the left. Good, bend into the right, and the left. Don't let your belly just sag down. Get your bottom tips of the rib cage up. Elongate up through the spine. Inner groins back. A few more times. This is such a good stretch. As we come into the fall season, everything begins to tighten up. And I don't know about you, but my inner groins go first. My inner groins get very tight. So just kind of stretch. Release, come all the way back to center. Here we talk about resilience. Both hands onto the block. Lightly touch the block. Let the shins go slightly forward, thighs back. Rib cage in. Get all that strength. Then let your hands come onto your hips and then inhale all the way back up. So you're doing the poses with both strength and flexibility. That creates the resilience. Heel toe, heel toe, heel toe, all the way back to center. And let's just kind of let the hips roll again. Nice deep breath. And then the opposite direction. Okay, good. So let's go a little further with the warrior poses. Uttanasana, all the way up. Back to a standing mountain pose. Exhale, fold, shins forward, thighs back. Hands onto the floor. Step the right foot back into a runner stretch. You want to feel your energy right in between your legs, lightly touching the floor. Bring your hands to your hips. Good. Take the top of the right thigh back. Settle in. Can you see that? I'm up here, then I'm settling in. Rib cage in. So now I'm breathing into my back body. Arms reach all the way up. With a nice deep breath. And then allow yourself to breathe, to feel the pose. Warrior pose is always about strength, resilience, staying steady. Release, come all the way back down. Switch your feet, right foot forward, left foot back. Taking a nice deep breath, lift all the way back up. Find your balance. Good, then grow the pose. Left heel presses back. Bend into the right knee a little bit more. Right hip down. Feel the rib cage move in. Don't go so fast that you can't figure out where all of the energy is coming from. Then connect the arms up. Breathing in. For me, yoga is not about moving fast, but it is about moving steady. Good. Then release. Hands onto the hips. Come all the way back. Right foot, left foot comes up to meet the right. Head down towards the floor. Right foot back again. Again, this time I'm going to add a twist to it. So find your stability. Bring your hands to prayer position. Nice deep breath. And if this prayer position in the twist does it does, want to make sure your left hip, your right hip is not coming down. Lift it up, then create the twist. Once you're there, you can bring the right hip back a little bit more. Breathing in, rotating. Or you're just taking your right arm to the outside of your foot. Nice deep breath. You're going to wiggle and wobble, you're going to find your balance. Then release, come all the way back to center. Right foot comes up to meet the left. Let's just come into a standing pose before we go to the other side. Hands go to prayer over your head, all the way up to Tadasana, and then down to the heart. And breathe in. So I find it's the wiggling and wobbling that's the lesson of the resilience. Because you feel scared a little bit. You feel as if, well, I don't really have this. I'm losing it, but then you find it again. That is the power of resilience. It's the power of knowing your body. It's the power of finding peace in all of this. Good. Then arms reach all the way up. You're going to exhale and fold again. Left one's going back this time. Finding balance, lifting up with a nice deep breath. Hands go to prayer. And just breathe into the centering. Shins come in, thighs go back, left heel goes back, rib cage in, connecting the centers before I start the movement. So either you're going to take your left elbow to the outside, or if you need to go a little higher, take your arm to the outside, but your knee is steady. And you're pressing into the knee, rotating the torso, either way, with a nice deep breath. Good. Stay one more breath. Then release, come all the way back to center, hands onto the floor, and then all the way onto the floor and step back into a downward facing dog. Nice deep breath. I could do a whole class on dog. I love dog. It's so many moving parts. If your hamstrings are really tight, I want you to bend your knees. Take the top of the thighs back. That's going to be more important. Eventually, you can bring your heels a little closer and stretch your hamstrings. You want to always keep the low back curve. That's important. Rib cage up. The tips of the rib cage go up so you can feel your back. Fingerprints down back of the palm knuckles down. You're going to come forward into a plank. Hugging the midline with your ankles. Then releasing, coming all the way back to downward facing dog. One more time, coming forward into plank. And you can either move into chaturanga or bring your knees onto the floor. We're going to come all the way onto the floor. Knees onto the floor, belly onto the floor, top of the toes onto the floor. And stretch your toes behind you. Hands are still underneath the head of the arm bone. Then move the head of the arm bone up and back and come up into a Bhujangasana. With a nice deep breath. Just find your breath in the opening. Let your shoulder blades go wide. So your collarbones rather go wide. Tips of the shoulder blades are in towards the heart. Taking a nice deep breath, curl the toes under. From here, lift all the way back to a downward facing dog. Right knee into your chest. And then stretch the right leg up. Stack your hips one on top of the other. Your left shoulder will want to collapse. You want to lift your left shoulder in line with your right. Just notice that movement. Keep the stretch right here in your waist. Good. Bend your right knee. So instead of bringing your knee up to the ceiling, bring your knee down a little further and back behind into your quads. Breathing in, then release, come all the way back to the dancing dog. Bring your right knee into your chest and step it through. Back into the runner stretch. Taking a nice deep breath again, step your left up to meet the right, head down towards the floor. Both hands onto the floor and step back into downward facing dog. This time it's the left knee into your chest and bring the left leg up. Toes dial down towards the earth. Gonna stack the hips one on top of the other. Gonna notice right shoulder wants to collapse, lift it up. Make it even. And then bend the left knee. Like you're hugging a tree. With a nice deep breath. Again, bringing the knee down. Instead of it going up towards the ceiling, bring it down and back. Getting a good stretch. Then release back to the dancing dog. And then left knee into your chest and step it through, back into the runner stretch. Taking a nice deep breath, letting this be a moment of just gathering your breath. Nice deep breath. Good. Then bring your right foot up to meet the left, head down towards the floor. Arms swing out to the side as we inhale all the way up. Hands go to pray over your head. And then down to the heart. Let's just take a few moments to come into the kneeling pose. Let your knees go out to the side, toes together. Roll back into the extended child and breathe. Just let your body breathe all those poses right into your every cell of your body. So you can feel the effects of letting your breath move so dynamically, being in touch with parts of your body, wakening up the parts for this day. Allowing your energy and this practice to move whatever today does not serve you, whatever that might be. Let's find that center. Let's go and stay and live in that center for the day. Good, then inhale and come all the way back up. So we're going to be in a table pose with the right leg going straight back behind you. Turn so that now we're rotating the torso and you've got your right leg up. So your left hand is away from your head of the arm bone. It's a little bit back here, head of the arm bone here. You're going to bend into the right knee and hold the foot. Move the right head of the arm bone up and back with a nice deep breath. And if this is not available to you, you're just going to make like you're reaching or use a tie. If you have your tie nearby, bending or you're holding the right foot up, whatever feels right for you today. Good. Nice deep breath. Good. Then release and come all the way back to the table pose. Good. Then the left leg lifts up. I'm going to switch. Whoops. Left leg lifts up. We're going to rotate the torso. It's a little bit of a balancing pose as well as a quad stretch. Your right hand is away from you. Head of the arm bone is more towards your foot. Bend into the left. You're going to hold the shoelace part of the foot. Move the left head of the arm bone up and back. And then just like we did in dog, you're going to bring the knee back straight behind you. Not up towards the ceiling. Just straight back behind you. And breathe. Good. If this is not available to you, then let your left foot go straight out, arm up. Good. Sacrifice the quad stretch. Let your belly go down towards the earth. So you're collapsing your back. Now I want you to begin to bring your rib cage up, head of the arm bone up. It's a very subtle movement. Bend the knees slightly so you can bring your sits bones up towards the ceiling, but don't sacrifice your rib cage. Let's keep your rib cage close to your spine, and then press it all back. This is a resilient dog. This is a dog you can hold for a very long time. The nice deep breath. Good. Then release, come all the way back onto the floor. Knees out to the side, toes together, roll back into the extended child. And breathe. Taking a nice deep breath. Just allowing yourself to feel connected. Letting the breath move to the parts of your body which are opening. And just begin to also recognize what it takes for you to stay steady. Just stay in the pose. Like I've always said, we have a relationship with the pose. The end product is not always the goal. The goal is to have a relationship with the pose. Where is the pose in your body today? That's all that's important. It'll be somewhere else tomorrow. But today, where is your pose? And can you find peace? Can you find that resilience in the pose? And then inhale, coming all the way back up again into the table pose. Let's bring the right knee up to the right wrist as we move into Ekapada Raja Kopatasana, the pigeon. Again, with the right foot, the side of the right foot coming down onto the floor. You don't want it, the goal is not to be sitting on the floor in your hip. The goal is to be up and engaging the belly so that you can actually hold the midline, hug the midline in. So it's not about just collapsing or just opening up the hip. It's about being strong in this pose. Belly towards the spine. Again, moving the arm bone up. Even here, I'm going to bring the rib cage. I'm a big rib cage poker, along with being extending my knees all the time too. With a nice deep breath. Stay upright. You might even want to bring a block to help you stay upright. And then what I like to do is just ease my way down into the hips, staying upright. Just allowing yourself to just feel the stretch by pressing your left heel back a little bit more. Good. Just stay in the pose long enough to feel that allowing the opening to happen. Then bring your left hand onto the block, right hand onto the hip. We're going to do a slight twist. And when you're doing the twist, see if you can keep the left hip up instead of collapsing the left hip towards the floor. Taking a nice deep breath. Then release, coming all the way back. And if you're using the block, let the block go to the side. Bring your elbows onto the floor. I'm still not collapsing into my hips. Keeping my hips up, keeping my rib cage up, engaging my belly, but taking the left thigh back and breathing, the right thigh back and breathing in. Right thigh, good. See if you can keep your left hip from collapsing. Press your left heel back a little more. Maybe even lift your knee up to get that sensation. Pressing into the floor. Inhale, coming all the way back up. Once again, hands onto the floor and sweep your way back to a relaxing downward dog. One heel up and one heel down. With a nice deep breath, so you can find your strongest dog, putting all the parts in place, keeping the low back curved, rib cage in, head of the arm bone up so your strong shoulder joints. Good. Then bring your left knee into your chest and sweep it region on this side. And breathe. No two sides are the same. It's always meant to keep us on our toes. And again, the goal is not to sit onto the hip, it's to lift up and be strong. Rib cage in, belly towards the lower part of the spine. Breathing. I'm pressing my right heel back, but bringing my right hip forward. Good. Taking the left hip back. Bringing the block here so I can help myself stay upright. Go a little higher and then settle in a little bit. Just a little. It's almost a yin pose where you're just settling into the hips in a mindful way. Breathing in. Good. Then release the block. Bring your elbows onto the floor. Once again, we're bringing the right hip forward, left hip back. And you want to breathe. Good. Then release. Come all the way back up again. Hands onto the floor. Sweep your left foot back into downward facing dog. And here, we're going to come forward into plank, and then come onto the floor in whatever way works for you, whether that's knees down, and then coming down and moving full into chaturanga. And here we're going to do a full up dog. Toes onto the floor, head of the arm bone up and back, and you're going to lift up off of the floor. Fingerprints down, back of the palm knuckles. Good, nice deep breath. Grow the pose, maybe let the hips go down towards the earth, bring the torso up towards the ceiling a little more. Then roll over your toes and come back into downward facing dog. And breathing. Then come all the way back into the table pose, then turn and come into the seated pose. Keeping your feet together into a Baddha Konasana. Letting your knees flutter. So here, we just want to let the belly go in towards the spine, lift up through the spine. Again, rib cage in. So you want to get over your hips. You don't want to round here. This is a detriment to your lower back. It's a lot of pressure in your lower back going in the wrong direction. You want to lift up. And if you don't have this low back curve, you really want a lift in with a pillow or a blanket to get the low back to allow your torso to come over your hips. It's a little bit towards your front, towards your toes. Then exhale forward, inhale up. Good. Exhale forward. Make it so that your head doesn't go down towards the earth. Stay upright. Exhale forward. And inhale up. Good. Exhale forward. Just find this edge. Inhale up. You may be able to go a little bit further. Holding feet into place. Exhale forward. And inhale up. Good. Oh dear. That would be me. Okay. I thought I turned that off. Take a nice deep breath coming back. Just let your knees flutter. You're going to bring your right knee into your chest, left knee up into your arms. You're going to hug the knee into your chest. So you've got your right leg stabilized. You're going to lift up again. You want to stay slightly over your hips and then lift the left leg up. Good, nice deep breath. See if you can walk your hands up your leg. Maybe finding your feet and coming all the way up into a nice deep stretch. Good, if you can, you're going to hold the outside of your left foot with your right hand, left hand onto the floor and create twist. Konchasana twist. And breathe. Nice deep breath. Good. Then release and come all the way back down. Bring your left foot in front, and you're going to walk your hands forward. Again, keeping both hips onto the floor. So it's a stretch and a breath through the lower part of your back. The lumbar spine needs so much attention. Breathing in. When you can find that breath, the lumbar spine is the base of your spine. It holds us up. When you find stability in the lumbar spine, you can really build on the resilience of your practice. So let's bring your left foot in, right knee into your chest, lift your leg up. We're just going to take this to where it feels comfortable for you. You can walk your hands down your legs. You might be able to find your foot. Then we're going to bring the left foot across over with the right hand onto the floor. Inhale all the way up and rotate in Konchasana twist. Breathing in. A nice deep breath. And then release and come all the way back down. So when you have the right foot now in front and you're walking forward again, I really like to glue my hips down, let my belly move up towards the spine. I want to keep this openness through my rib cage so that I can really feel my breath moving into the back body. And just see if you can find that in your body. Stable hips, breath through the back body, through the openness, through your willingness to change, to just find these deeper ways of finding connection in your body. And then come all the way back up again. Good. So we're going to do Konchasana, Agni Stambha. So we're very, very close right here as you're going to bring your right foot up on top of your left. So we're almost right there already. Good. Let your side of your right foot come onto the knee. And then just let your knee, just hand onto the knee. Maybe settle your right knee down a little bit. Or wherever you are with this pose. Remember, it's a relationship with the pose. Agni Stambhasana, fire logs. You can feel them right here in the hips. Good. Nice deep breath. So we're going to add a little twist here by bringing the left hand in front of the right, moving over to the right, and then release and come all the way back to center, and right hand over onto the left. Fire logs and twist, bring it all the way back. I think of it as fire logs in the wind. So it's change your feet, just letting your right foot go on the bottom, left foot, you can see my left foot is a little higher than my right. Remember, it's just a relationship with the pose. The pose is where it is today. That's all that's important. Taking a nice deep breath, lifting all the way up. Just finding your breath and then letting your right hand go onto the left knee and rotate the torso. And then coming all the way back to center. You feel the lift through the spine as you rotate left hand onto the right knee and breathing in. It's all about finding that connection. And then release, coming all the way back. Let both legs go straight out. This is where we need a big inner spiral. Taking the top of the right thigh and rotating it in. Toes up towards the ceiling. And you're going to walk your hands down your foot. And again, you want your hips slightly over. So you don't want to be rounding here and then moving forward. You want to lift up here. Nice deep breath. Keep the low back curve. In fact, let's bring our hands up. That's going to encourage that. and the back of your head, skull loop. Exhale forward. And inhale up. Other parts of your body will help. Other parts of your body open and expand. That to me is the gift of yoga. Inhale. Once you figure out what connects to what, exhale forward. Inhale up. And last time, exhale forward. And inhale up. Good. So just kind of shake that out. So we're going to come onto our side, come into a table pose, and then we're going to roll to our side. We're going to rotate the torso. So we're going to do the Vasisthasana in a couple of ways. The first way is you're bringing your left foot straight out and your right foot in front, rotating the torso. This is stage one. And again, the head of the arm bone is not under the wrist. Head of the arm bone is back here towards your foot. So I'm pressing fingerprints down, back of the palm knuckles down. If from here, you can release your foot and come into a larger or the next version of Vasisthasana, then do. But if you are here, and the first one, what I'd like you to do is lift your hips. Do the side of the foot. Lift the hips up, belly towards the rib cage, towards the lower back, rib cage in. Breathing. Good. Either expression. And then release and come all the way back down. So let's come into a child's pose, toes together, knees out. Move back into an extended child and breathe with a nice deep breath. It's a large pose, Vasisthasana. And again, it requires that ability to just stay with where you are and continue to work where you are, wherever that may be, and move towards where you can go. And then release, come all the way back into a table pose. Your right hand is going slightly in front, you're going sideways. Good. Left foot is in front this time, and right foot is going back. This is stage one of this pose. Then, add your foot on top. If it's available to you, adding the arm up in a full expression. But if not, this is a full expression as well. Lifting the hips up, doing this well, keeping the side of your right foot onto the floor. Fingerprints down, back of the palm knuckles, rib cage into one big long line. Good. Breathing in. Finding your expression today. Good. Then release. Come all the way back into the child's pose, knees out, toes together. Roll back, extended child, and breathe. Find your breath. Then inhale, coming all the way back up. Let's come right onto your back. Let your knees come into your chest. And for the many years that I have worked, I've come to understand my particular low back curve. So I just want to do a little bit of an exercise to help you find yours as well. I want you to bring your legs straight up so that they're parallel to the wall. Nice deep breaths. You already have a low back curve here. You may not have a low back curve. Rib cage in. I want you to find where, as you bring your legs down in this water wheel, You find your low back curve. Spread your toes. And then bring your legs up again just to feel where you lose the low back curve. And then find your low back curve again. And then let your feet go all the way on towards the floor. This is where I do a lot of rib poking here. Still takes a lot for me to do this pose without that. Bring your knees up and let your feet be mat width apart. We're going to let the knees swing from side to side. So just let yourself fall into the side-to-side movement. Breathing in. We're going to slow down here. And then when your knees go off to the right side, stay there with your left hand going up overhead, stretching your left quad, maybe bringing the knee a little bit more towards the earth, and stretching the knee away from you. So find your maximum stretch here, where you're not going into pain. You're just feeling your body open and expand with the breath. Just knowing your body well creates the resilience that we all need. Then inhale all the way back up and do a few more sweeps back and forth. Let your left hand go back to a T position. Remembering no two sides are the same, so it requires different listening. And then release, bring your knees over to the left this time with the right arm going up. If you want to do a deeper stretch here, you can bring your right foot on top of your left foot on top of your right knee, but not necessary. That's just another alternative. Breathing in, and again, we're just creating the stretch that is proper for your body today. Good. And then releasing back just a few more sweeps on either side. Good. All right. And then bringing your knees into your chest and circle your knees all the way around. Now here's another opportunity for you to understand your low back curve. When my knees go way into my chest, I lose the low back curve, and then as they move away, I can find it again. And just move in the opposite direction. And then release. And hold your hands onto your knees. Let your head come up to meet your hands. You're coming into a little ball. Breathing in. Good. And then release all the way onto the floor. Putting on whatever clothes you need and moving into Shavasana. Letting your whole body feel connected to the earth. The earth is changing, so it is asking us to do the same. Just allow yourself to feel that deeper connection. with the moon last night, literally bathed in the light, kissed by the sun, streaming into my bed. A menage a trois full of the lunacy of mating with the full moon. For hours in the night, dreaming this celestial union into this poem. Allow small movements to come back into your fingers and back into your toes. Let your knees float up into your chest and hug them in, gently rocking from side to side. Roll to one side as you pause for a moment and breathe into this inner landscape. It's full of your space, your ability to hold space, which I think is a very strong tool for resilience, holding space. And then continue the side roll all the way back up into a seated pose, bringing your hands to prayer position at your heart center. And together we will say one Om. Take a breath in. Om. May we have peace in our heart, peace in our mind, true and everlasting peace and healing on this planet. Namaste. Thank you so much. Let me open you up for a discussion here. Here we go. Oh, good. You can unmute. Oh, good. Okay, everything is all set. All right.